We are
Okay.
ready.
Okay, sir.
Shall I go on?
Sir, I'll introduce everything I'll do. Then I'll hand over the session to you. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome to the post-lunch session on the second last day of induction program. And in this post-lunch session, we have a session as part of creative practices. We have a session on photography. And I'm really thrilled and filled with excitement to moderate a session on photography. Can you imagine a world without photographs? No. Yes or not? Photographs freeze memories. It captures a moment in time that you'll be able to remember and cherish years from now. So much of our knowledge comes from photographs. They have made many things seem quite ordinary and have allowed us to feel close to distant people, places, and things. And today, who else can take us to the exciting world of photography than Mr. Prabhu, Satya Prabhu, sir, who is a Hyderabad-based creative director and eminent photographer who specializes in advertising work. And my dear students, you will be delighted to know that he has an engineering background. With that, he went for a full-time career in his passion, that is photography. He is self-taught and has seen his share of 20 hours a day schedules on the way to building up his passion, his career, his business from precise analog to easier digital. His client list includes some prominent global organizations, as well some famous Indian corporate names like Dr. Reddy's, JMR Group, JMR Hyderabad Airport, Hindustan Unilever, ITCE Chopal, ITC Pioneer DuPont, Idea Cellular, Tata Indicom, Priya Foods, Ramoji Film City, Idritzen Germany, Smile Foundation Switzerland, Bayer Agro Sciences Germany, Time Magazine Asia, IEEE Spectrum USA, and many more. He had the opportunity to work with well-known ad agencies of India with international affiliations, namely R.K. Swamy BV2, Lowe Lintas, Mather, McCann Erickson, JWT Everest India, Rediff Young and Rubicam, FCB Ulkar, RID and Widely UK, and many more who have contributed to his career and business. At 60 years of age and more than 30 years of experience in business communication and general photography, he is restricting himself to mentor, tutor, guide, teach anyone who has interest in photography, which according to him by itself is more thrilling than any other hobby. Sir, I welcome you and request you to kindly take charge of the session. We are all excited. Sir, please.
Thank you so much, Professor Sarkar. I'm, in fact, you have given a very great description about me. I'm very, very thankful. But the expectation from the participants will also be looking for the same. I hope that I will live to that. And now I will start the session, Professor Sarkar, with your.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I welcome all the participants to the photography course in DSLR cameras and cell phone photography. And I would also introduce you to a kind of a creative art in terms of photography. I thank MVSR College and Dr. Sunita Vijay Kumar, Dr. Tanushree Sarkar, and Professor Vamsi to have organized this. And I thank all the management. All the participants can look at my work in detail. Many pictures have been missed in what I'm showing right now. You can look at my pictures, what is there on the Facebook. That's there on the screen. Facebook.com/forward/satya.prabhu.9/photos. And my email ID is at photographer@gmail.com. All right. Now, there's one more thing I would like to mention. The copyrights are a big issue in terms of these kind of workshops or anything like that. Uh, I'm not only presenting my pictures, I'm also presenting some pictures of my friends who were generous enough to contribute their pictures, so that the idea is to spread uh, awareness with respect to photography, and photography as a means of enjoyment and making ourselves uh, beyond our carrying ourselves beyond our work. Work is always work. How long will you work? There has to be a break somewhere. Need to be into yoga, you got to be into music, or you got to be into book reading or something else. Some hobby has to be there. So I look at photography as something that will give you a certain amount of peace and satisfaction in your life. A weekend, you shoot something, and you will, all in the evenings, probably you will start editing those pictures and things like that, and which you will love. And already you have a platform called Facebook, which is the most stupidest platform of all, where you should get any idiotic picture also, you will get a like because your friend likes you. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm saying that. Okay. Now, let's get on to the crux of it. Uh, uh, in professional photography, we have, I'm telling you how many ways we can pursue photography. Professional photography. Professional photography has some major segments like advertising, wedding, industrial, portrait, food and sports photography, along with journalism and drone photography also. This drone photography, earlier we used to fly on a helicopter and shoot. Nowadays we have got small flying cams and they do the job, right? Okay, now this is the best part of it, hobby photography. In the previous all segment, whatever I said, we used to have this is the job, this is the kind of money, this is the time frame, and everything like that. And anyway, so that they are all regulations where you will work only in a framework. Okay. And but when I come to hobby photography, you can shoot anything that's going to be pleasant to your mind, that you like. Anything, may it be kids, may it be landscapes, may it be candids, may it be casual portraits, may it be night shots, beaches, or cloud, mood, or insects, or food, or whatever. It's finally what you get out of it is that you thrill yourself by doing whatever you like, grabbing that picture, and that is not a momentary one. That particular moment which you have frozen in your camera will carry on with you for a lifetime. You will start recollecting when was this and what were you doing, and even to the extent of what were you wearing and what you ate that moment, and which restaurant was good, and kind of things like that. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is that photographs remain with your life for a lifetime. Okay, now I will introduce myself, as she has already, Dr. Sarkar has given adequate information to you with respect to what I have been doing. I'll show it in images with a very short intro. This was done for Regency Ceramics. Kindly note one thing, that the female model is sitting to the left and the right side has been left over. I will explain the logic behind that, and I hope that everybody's eye is being drawn to that particular person only, not because she's pretty, but anything you put, even if you put a football there, you will look at that. Okay, this is also for the same one. I have given the credits on the top, you can see them. Okay, Okay. I could have talked more on each picture, but that would be time consuming. We have a time limitation too. For example, if you look at this picture, it would have been drab had not the sky been blue. My timing at which I wanted to shoot that picture was perfectly right. But it could have been lighter. I should have been a little bit earlier, actually. No, but I went there early, but the lights were not switched on. Unless the lights are there, the factory wouldn't look good. Okay. Now, this was very clinically handled because it is Dr. Reddy's and there is a formulation plant. Okay. The same picture of the one which I talked about, the blue sky, without the sky, I am showing you now. And this is not as good as that. And this one is purely conceptualized by me. It was an empty bottle which I picked up from one of my friend's place. If you see the bottle shape, the wording Rapo is written there. On top of it is a shoulder kind of a stuff. The bottle is designed such a way that there is a shoulder, and it is narrowing down. I correlated that to a person who is very well built, like someone like Tiger Shroff right now, with broad shoulders and a very narrow waist. That is absolutely macho kind of stuff. And the product is an aftershave. So, and it's the moment you put that the aftershave onto your beard shaved area, it gives you a very cool feeling once it is applied. Right. That's why I had the blue around there. Okay. Now I'm explaining you the conceptualization. Okay, this is another tabletop. What I mean to tell you is that if you are interested, you can create pictures of anything. Even a bottle, you can make a picture out of it. You only need to have that imagination of creating the picture. That, if you see the background of the books, why the books, you might ask me. And I have given the hint of a lighter out on the right side of the image. Okay. That is called propping. Generally, thinkers smoke and readers smoke, editors smoke a lot. So that's why I added the books. Now, this is absolute pure commercial photography. Of course, it's very difficult to discuss on this picture. It's very difficult to discuss on this picture. It's a very cumulative of a great extended effort to have created that. No, this picture was done right in the early morning around. I was waiting from 4:30 onwards, and 5:40 or some 5:20 or something like that, I could get the picture. And the inside lighting of the temple was done by me. The temple inside was not lit, but I have lit it. Okay, and this is the one where you see what I am thrilled with is the blue sky, because I used a filter on the camera. Okay. And you can make out that the lines on the left, which are electric wires, which are still there, means I have not done any Photoshop job on it. Okay, it's a straightforward presentation of my film scanned and presented to you. I could have as well removed those things, but I wanted it to be natural for you to believe that yes, it's natural shot. Okay, now let's get into some basics of photography. The first fundamental thing is that unless we know what we are doing, see, it's like mathematics or physics or chemistry or for perhaps any other engineering subject, where unless we know some basics, you do not go ahead, right? So I'll tell you some small things before and then get into a mediocre level of photography which you can pursue, and thereby you can take it to a standard level where you can go beyond your normal course of photography. Okay, now generally what no, actually I wanted to present you, because of the shortage of time I could not get into the the actual evolution of cameras. But I thought no point in remembering Babar or Akbar or anybody like that right now. In this context, these are the cameras what we use. Digital interchangeable lens SLR. SLR means single lens reflex. And the cell phone cameras, of course. And this is one very good model from Canon, which is a SLR. And this is the same one at a different angle. Okay, the advantage of this SLR cameras, this is a Canon, this is a Nikon. The lens can be detached. The lens can be detached and you can opt for a different lens, which gives a wider coverage or a smaller, narrow coverage, like what a lens used by, you must have seen in cricket matches and football matches, that these guys carry long wide lenses. They have a very narrow angle of view, about 10 degrees and 5 degrees and things like that. Otherwise, they cannot cover a batsman or a bowler from a distance of 80 yards or something like that, staying out of the ground. Now, talking about that's the advantage of actually SLR cameras, where you can change the view or angle of view. That's where SLR scores over mobile phones or any other thing. Okay. So it's always, if you are serious photographer, you should opt for an SLR camera, ranging from the basic one will range from 24,000 or 25,000 and it'll run into 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs. Okay. And add on lenses and things like that, probably your kit would cost 10 lakhs. Right. No, but basic outfit would come for 35, 40. Instead of buying a 80,000 rupees or a 1 lakh rupees iPhone 12, I would say that you would better buy a MI 15,000 or Vivo 20,000 phone and spend 50,000 rupees on a beautiful, brilliant camera. Because the sensors I will show you right now, in digital cameras, there are 2 different kinds of formats where the sensor of the digital camera, minimum size of 24 mm by 17 mm. That is the size of the image sensor. The costlier cameras, those are called full frame cameras, where the size is 35 mm into 24 mm. Okay. So when you have a larger sensor, you get a better quality of image and much sharper and crisper image quality. And that one cell phone camera, you look at it, the cell phone itself is about not even 1 centimeter thick. So your image sensor, whatever you get, is half the size of your little finger, half of the size of the nail of your little finger. Okay. With that, he packs 45 megapixel or 52 megapixel, whatever he talks. It's going to be noise only, not really a crisper picture. Okay. But however, they have their own advantages. You cannot carry 1 kg of baggage or 1.5 kg of baggage in SLR cameras always on your backpack. But cell phone is in your pocket and you just pick it up and shoot something instant. That advantage is always there with cell phone cameras. Sure. And another thing is that you can immediately transmit it to whichever friend you like, or whichever platform, whether Instagram or Facebook or anywhere. Okay. Now, these are the kind of range of lenses. 180 degrees of absolute 180 degrees to almost 3 degrees. That is ridiculous. But that lens which covers the 3 degrees of angle is going to cost you 10 lakhs or something like that, where you can buy a flat in some rural area, actually. Okay. Now, I have introduced you to the difference between the cell phone cameras and the 35 digital cameras. But however, whichever camera you are using, there are few things you need to know to control. Unless something is some parameters are there available already in the camera and in the or in the mobile phone, which you need to control. I will tell you what are they and how and when they should be controlled and how they can be useful in terms of creating our own image the way we like it. But for convenience sake, you know, camera makers and cell phone makers have come up with pre-programmed art using artificial intelligence. How many pictures do you think this world has? This world, in this world, there are so many photographers, whether amateur or semi-professional or professional photographers. All these images which have been put on Google or Getty Images or something like that, there are many platforms where the pictures are posted. Accumulating all these things and the data of them, they using artificial intelligence, they created some modes which are user-friendly and can give you instant satisfaction and an instant picture. But the thing is that, see, for example, these are the things, no? Auto, smart, premium auto, portrait, soft portrait, beauty, soft skin, landscape, scenery, portrait. Landscape means the moment you put it into landscape, it will identify the green areas. Similarly with scenery, portrait with scenery. Portrait with scenery means it will start focusing the person in the foreground and it will give secondary importance to the background. Night portrait, that means to say that it's going to influence the light meter inside. Children, that means it's going to increase the shutter speed a little bit so that even if they move, there won't be a shake. Sports, extremely high shutter speed. Okay, and candlelight is going to be orangish. It's going to adjust for that. Okay, like that. But all these things are like automatic weapons like AK-47. You don't have accuracy, but you can shoot. Okay. With AK-47, you tell me who cannot shoot. You can shoot anybody dead. Okay. But are you really sure you are killing the person you really want to? No, you're not. If it was a soldier, yes, he would definitely not use an AK-47. He would better use a sniper rifle. Okay. So that there I ask a question to all photographers. If you are using automatic option on your camera, whether it's a mobile camera or an SLR camera, I would ask, where's my signature? Where's my expression? I shoot this with the given same shooting mode, whether if I shoot or anybody shoots, it's the same thing, but for the pan part of it, no? You pan a little bit this way, somebody holds it up, somebody holds it down, somebody is short, somebody is tall. If he's tall, he gets a lower looking angle. If the person is short, he will go lower than the eye level image and things like that. Other than that, there's no difference in automatic use. Okay. But how do we get control over the entire gadget, which creates the image? Now, from here on starts the actual serious work. I think I will leave every slide of mine for 8 seconds so that you can look at the detail what I have written out there. Okay, the basic funda of good photography is this. Yeah, there are some basic things that you need to control. There is something called ISO, which I will define. This called shutter speed, which I'll define, and aperture also I will tell you about it. Unless you get all these 3 things right, you can't get the right image. But how will you get it? But what? There has to be something, right? But you can't go, supposing that you go to a doctor, he just places his hand over my neck and says that this fellow has got 104 fever. The ridiculous it is. He looks at my eyes and says that no, he has got too much of fever. That's not. He has got to have some gadget, really a gadget by means of which one should be able to decide what is required to be done. Okay, and that's where light meter comes into picture. Okay, now you have seen the SLR camera which I have shown you earlier. This one, its construction within with a line diagram. I'm going to show you how it works, why it is called single lens reflex. Okay, now this is it. When you are looking at this, see the red light out there. The red light, there is a light path that is written there. Light is going to enter, and that rectangular horizontal rectangle is the lens part of it. Okay, and to the extreme left is a vertical rectangle, which is in which we are seeing a mirror, right? And this red line is striking one particular mirror. This mirror will give a reflection onto the top. You can see it, and it is taking a turn and coming out of the viewfinder. That's the viewfinder what we are seeing on the top there. Okay, that's the area. The red area exit arrow is where you are going to see and look at the image. And wherever it is written that there is shutter, that is a shutter gate. Remember this, it's the shutter. And your aperture is indicated is inside the lens, and the film where it is written film there is once upon a time when we were using film, the film was there. And in place of the film, now we have replaced it with a photosensitive chip. That is, what is the photosensor? Okay. Now, when your shutter button is clicked, what happens in this SLR is that the mirror goes onto the top and it allows light to come into the shutter. Shutter opens and falls onto the image sensor, thereby creating an image. Now, how much light should enter and how will you restrict or increase the light is what is a matter. I will show you how. Okay. Supposing that why this much amount of light? Okay, suppose I take a bucket whose quantity is actual capacity, I would say. The bucket's capacity is 20 liters. Okay, now I will have a big tube through which I will push water. Padak. In next 2 seconds, your bucket is full and probably it will overflow. Supposing that I have a small tap with a small hole, it will take a longer time for it to fill. Please understand this. A small hole to which I am putting water is going to take a longer time to fill the same bucket of 20 liters. But whereas it takes a fraction of a second with a big tube into the bucket to fill in just a second. And now let's consider that instead of water, let us replace it with castor oil. The density of the fluid itself is so much, it will take a whole longer time. Right? Okay. So these three things, remember this, I will show the correlationship of these things in the coming slides. Okay. Now, first thing that we need to understand before going for any other thing is that there is a light meter inside, as I told you. It is generally, it is a photodiode which senses the light that is entering the camera and converts it into a digital signal, and its digital value is displayed on your either on your camera back panel or on your viewfinder. Okay, and then based on this, you happen to judge what is right and what is wrong. Now, this is the display in the viewfinder of the 35mm digital SLR. Okay, this is in the viewfinder, or you can find the same thing at the back of the LCD also. The back of LCD. This is what? This means to say that red dot is saying that your settings are right. That means zero error, you are going to get the correct picture. If you are going to shift, if the red dot is towards the +1 or +2 or -1 or -2, the repercussions are different. I will show you that. Okay. Now this is the back panel on which it's going to show you that see this. You see the red circled area out there. You know, if your light is over, if your light entering the light that is entering the camera is more, it will show on the pluser side. The blue dot will shift onto the pluser side. Or if the light is less in terms of the amount of light that's entering the camera is less, it shifts onto the blue side. Okay. I'm facing a little problem because physically, if I execute it, I will draw on a board and show you about it. Okay, but anyway, let's not let not the board be spoiled about it. All right. On top, you see an f2.8 and 1/4. This 1/4 is the shutter speed and f2.8 is the aperture. Okay, for now, remember that the main aspect of this slide is about your metering. And when the meter is absolutely in the center, then you are getting the correct one. If you are shifting it to the right, that means you have excessive light. If it's on to the left, it requires more light. Okay. Now I'm getting into another area. The meter itself is made to behave. So you can see, like, you can automate, make the behavior to alter the behavior of the metering at all. Now, in the left top, you have one rectangle where there is a red patch that is fading into the edges of the rectangle. That means that intensive red, this is called center weighted metering. In nomenclature, you have to remember these terms also, because when you buy a camera, you're going to come through this. Unless you remember this, you will not be able to understand what your manual is telling you about. Okay, this is called a center weighted metering, where the red dot gives most of its importance of reading the image, 60% to the center of it, and 40% importance to the exterior of that 60%. Okay, now let's come down to the left bottom part of it. This gives 20 to 25% of importance to the center and totally neglects the rest of the part. Okay, now there's another metering pattern in the light meter that's called the extreme right bottom rectangle I'm talking about. It's called evaluative metering. Just as you see, there is a central circle and you see four more rectangles in the same frame. Right. So what the camera's meter does is that it takes values of brightness and light levels across all these 5 segments, one central circle, and the 4 rectangles surrounding. it's going to average out the value, and it's going to give you the average value, and thereby it gives you the that what I told you, to plus side or minus side or what. Okay, and now the right triangle is that it is spot metering. Okay, this is one brand that indicates like this. Other brands show it in a different way. Actually, I will tell you. That is also very important because Sony is different from Canon. Canon is different from Nikon. Everybody has its own terminology and the way they take the measurements of the lighting situation. Okay, now this is one other way of showing it. Now he has got the partial metering. What he says is that that's the 20-25% I was talking about in the earlier slide. And now you see the second rectangle on the left, which is center weighted, which, as I told you, it is 60-40. It's the same thing once again here also. The behavior will be the same, but representation will be different either in the camera menu or in the manual. Okay. Now there is a spot. The spot metering is only the particular spot. Okay. But please remember one thing. There are some cameras, when you shift the focusing point, it will travel along with that and evaluate the light only in the particular spot which you have selected for focusing. Some cameras don't allow that. Some cameras create zone systems, zones, left side one zone, middle one zone, and right side one zone. Okay, now coming down to the last rectangle in the bottom, we have got one rectangle in which there are several small rectangles. So this is called evaluative matrix multi-pattern metering. This is specifically used by Nikon. Okay, it takes so many rectangles in one frame and evaluates that, okay, and gives you the final reading of averaging out all the values. Okay, next, that's the thing. After first you go to the meter, set the meter to your requirement, and when will you set the meter to what a particular thing? If I'm shooting, supposing that I'm shooting let us talk about the first top left rectangle. I'm shooting a landscape. If I'm shooting a landscape, either I'll opt for the top left setting, that is the center weighted, or the top bottom right evaluative. Both of them will equally give you approximately the same thing. Same image. Okay. Now, if I'm shooting a couple which occupies about generally say 20-25% of the they are in front of Taj Mahal. I want the Taj Mahal to be very good, and they also to be reasonably good. Then I will go for top right bottom one evaluative. They might be a little dark, but still they can be identified. But if I want to forget there is some shabby trees and dirt and things like that is there, then I would go for the extreme left bottom, where it gives the metering value of only those two people and forgets the rest of it. Okay. And then spot metering. Spot metering is for a single person's portrait which you are doing. Okay. Suppose there is someone standing next to a window and you want to record that, make a portrait out of it, because generally window light is very nice, actually. I like the window light portraits very well. Okay. Then what I do is that I take up the spot metering and fix the spot onto the focusing spot at all for composition, and see that it does not go onto the eyebrows because it is black. Okay, or eyeball white, and I try to put it on the cheek and get it right. Okay. If you still don't get it, I have a solution for it. I will tell you. But why is it that uh, now I'm talking about the top right side top rectangle spot metering for a single person, where he's standing next to the window, or he or she, and you are capturing that light only, and you are taking a reading of the cheek, and you are shooting the picture. But the total window will go out of the window. You will not have definition of the window. Only the person will be important. Is that you can increase the size of the light entry hole by means of adjusting your aperture values. When you select A, there is a rotating dial on your camera top which you will rotate to get a different value. Okay, now these are represented by, they are called f-stops. Please remember this. That is the terminology. Wherever, if even if you are listening to your YouTube channel, he will say f-stop. Okay, that is called aperture value or f-stop value. Okay, but majority of the photographers address it as f-stop. Okay, and this ranges from actually 1.2. There are lenses of 1 also. Okay, 1.2 up to f65. You are seeing right now from f2, it's to 2.8, and then the next one is next circle is showing you f4, and then let's come down once again onto the left hand side once again 5.6, f8 and f11 and f16. Now you might ask me what is the difference between these things. You know, I told you about the bucket part of it. You can have a big tube through which you can dump suddenly 20 liters of water. Okay, you can have a small pipe by means of which you can take longer to fill the same bucket, right? So that is how it helps. You know, when you are an f22, the aperture or the opening of the lens is maximum. And when you shift to 2.8, understand this theory, please. This is a very important theory part of it. When you are shifting from 2 to 2.8, the aperture is going to come down, become smaller. How much? How much smaller? When difference between 2 and 2.8 is that it's going to half the value that is entering the camera. Please get this right. When you are shifting, we are shooting at f2, as per the aperture, it amounts, say, X amount of light into the camera. When you're shifting it to 2.8, it allows, in comparison to f2, X by 2, half of it. Okay? When you are shifting it to f4 from f2, it is X by 4. When you are shifting it from f2 to f5.6, it is f by 8. The light quantity is getting reduced by 8. So that means each step is going to cut down the light by half till you reach f16. Half, you see where you are going to end up at f16. Okay. And in some lenses, you have got 22 and 32 and 45 and 65 also. Of course, 45 and 65 are not available in 35mm lenses. They are in medium format and large format lenses. Okay. And similarly, if you observe, supposing I am coming down from f16 to 11, that means I am doubling the light that is coming into the camera. And 11 to 8, I am doubling it again. That means 16 to 8, I am shifting. That means I am going to increase the light twice. Okay, 2 times the amount of light. Okay, and the scale is the same. Whether they go this way, it's going to cut down. One from 2 to 16 you go, it's going to keep halfening the light that is entering the camera. And when you're coming down from 16 to f2, it's going to double the light at every stage. Okay. Now you can see one image. People who are watching this on mobile phones may be difficult to find the differentiation between the images, but I'm sorry, I can't, couldn't find a better thing to show you about. The one that is at f16 is the darkest, and the at 1.4 lightest. That means to say what? As you keep on opening the aperture, the light is that is entering the camera is going to be more and more and more and more. It will lighten up. You have to counter it with something else. Like what I told you, the big tube versus small tube. Okay? And a tab where you control the speed of it drop by drop or by leaving it open or partially open or what. Okay. Now, when you are setting this particular thing, okay, now this is aperture priority. For convenience sake, what the camera manufacturers have done is that you can put it in aperture priority. That is AV in some other brands, A in one brand and AV in some other brand. Okay, now what you will do is that, supposing that you will pick up, say for example, we have had say F2 or F4, whatever we decide. What are there are other implications other than the light entering the camera to this setting of aperture. It has got another implication on the image. Okay, which I will give you a demo of it. I have set F4 or something like that, and the shutter will be automatically operated by the camera. You will select the ISO also. Please remember that. You have to select the metering, you have to select the shutter speed, you have to select the aperture firstly, you have to select the metering and the ISO required. And then the camera will automatically set the required shutter speed based on what your metering suggests. Please remember this. If your metering selection itself is wrong, everything will go fat. Okay. Then look at this. The other implication of using a particular shutter is that there's something called, if you are able to read, there is a shallow depth of field. At the absolute bottom of it, please read. Extreme left, it is written shallow DOF. That means depth of field. Okay. As you see it, you are seeing on top, there is one more, what do you call, a bar, which is broadening to the other end, where depth of field is increasing. And on top of that, you see F22, the smallest of the whole. So when you have used F22 or the smallest hole possible, your depth of field will increase enormously. And as you are coming down, the shallower the depth of field. Okay, now examples are this. This guy, I should have to give the credit, photo credit to him, copyright credit. He was my driver. His name is Satish. Okay. I have selected F4 and my focus was on the script city on his t-shirt. Actually, I was focusing his t-shirt only. And if you can notice that at F4, all the background, there are some poles, yellow poles are there. And there is a gentleman sitting at the back. That fellow is a little blurred, and all the poles are also blurred. You see the between the man that is sitting at the back of Satish, and in between Satish, there are two guys, gentlemen walking, who are mediocrely blurred but still identifiable. There is a HP signal at the back, signage, that is out of focus. And there is some more van there. I don't know what is written out there. Okay, now I'll shift to my aperture to 5.6. See the difference in the poles from 4 to 5.6. The model is stationary, standing in the same place. Okay, the poles are more clear and HP also has improved. Now the clarity on the van at the extreme right is also improved, right? Now I'll see at 8. You are almost seeing, you are seeing Satish very clearly. You are seeing the gentleman who is sitting behind, he is also sharp. And the HP sharpness also has increased, and the sharpness of the van, we can make out that it is an RTA van right now. Okay. And next one, I have used F11, where HP has become sharp, absolutely sharp. Satish is sharp, and RTA is also reasonably sharp. Now 16. I think you can make out. Poles are sharp, Satish is sharp, HP, this thing is sharp, and the van is sharp, right? So when you are using a small aperture, the depth of field will increase, and when you are using wider aperture, that is f4 or f2.8 or 2 or 1.4 or 1.8, the depth of field is going to be shallow. Okay. Now, hope you understood this. If you have questions, please put them back during the question hour if the time is available. If the time is not available, then we will have to look at when we in the January. You can. I'll tell you at the end of it. Okay. This is not the right moment. Now, let's come to the same dial mode once again. Now here, earlier I told you to ignore that red circle. Now you please have to notice that red circle only. S means shutter. TV means time value. How long will I leave the water into the bucket? With what width I would like to leave the water? Okay. This is like you have a pressure regulator out there for any liquid to flow or any gas to flow. You have got regulators, right? That's like that. Okay. You are using a large aperture, that means you use shorter time. You are using a small aperture, that means you use a longer time, right? Now, let's in this particular mode, when you take a select S and align it to the white dot, here also TV aligned to the white dot on the left, okay? Then you are selecting time value. Select your own time value based on your requirement. Supposing that you want to blur something, take a low shutter speed, but you may need a tripod. If you are shooting sport, then you have to, that depends on the kind of sport also. If it is volleyball, not much probably, or basketball, not so much of speed. But if you are shooting someone like Sehwag against Shoaib Akhtar, then you will have to be at 4,000th of a second. Okay. That depends on the kind of sport and what the subject is. Sprinters will require a different one. Horse racing will require a different one. Kids, they move a little bit, but there are some funny kids who travel like they keep jumping and moving very fast. Then probably you'll have to go to 400th of a second and things like that. Now, firstly, I will show you. No, I have indicated you where are the situations where you have to change the shutter speeds. Okay. Yeah, this is shutter is made of once again some metal blades. These blades will open and close. Okay, with the help of an electromagnet. This is the electromagnetic shutter. When you set the time, it will exactly keep it open for that kind of thing. It's wonderful that these people have come up with this kind of designs. If I remember, I was 15 years old when I saw such kind of a camera, which was a mechanical shutter. That too, uh, it was not a shutter which was electromagnetic, but still was. It could time from 1 second to 1,000th of a second to reasonably good accuracy. You don't go wrong. Okay, this shutter moves up to open and closes down. There are some shutters in some camera designs where from left to right it moves. However, the principle is one and the same. It's only inverted, like. Now, if you typically see the shutter scale also is going to be, if you see 1 second, half second, 1/4 second, 1/8 second, 1/16th of a second, this is the duration of the opening of the shutter. That means in correlationship to aperture, here also we have got either it is doubling, you are shifting from 1/60th to 1/32nd of a second. That means you are doubling the amount of light that's entering. As you have seen from f16 to f11 in aperture. Okay, the scale is 1 second, general one. Let me come to B and T later on after explaining this. Okay, 1 second, half second. That means you are going to allow half the amount of light. 1/4 of a second, even less. 1/8 of a second. 1/8 of a second is that much amount of the quantity of light that's entering the camera is going to be 1/8 of the light what would have entered at 1 second. Similarly, it goes up to 2000, 1/2000th of a second, 1/4000th of a second, 1/8000th of a second. Every shift will either double the light or half the light, like what we have seen in aperture. But a combination of this somewhere will get you that metering. When you have selected it, it will get you into that red dot, which is in the middle, neither in the right nor in the left. Okay, that's when you get the correct image. Now, for example, okay, now I'll show you examples of slow shutter speed. I've done this on ORR. Okay, the shutter speed was low. They were traveling at about 80 kilometers per hour or 90. Okay, and I was shooting at 1/15th of a second. Okay, and in the same position, I have frozen this car because I increased the shutter speed. I can freeze. Okay, now this is mere example. The picture has been shot. It's not a great picture. It's only to demonstrate that slower shutter speed will blur moving objects and higher shutter speed will freeze moving objects. Okay, now how creatively can you adapt it? How creatively can anybody adapt it? This is a waterfall where you can see actually the water in the sparkling water that is frozen. Frozen in the sense you have frozen it in the camera, in the image, with a higher shutter speed. Okay, not everybody likes freezing water like this. Okay, there might be another vision of it. You may not like this. Yes. Now see this. This is silky smooth. Though the water is gushing out, by using a slow shutter speed, the photographer has made it look like a beautiful effect he has got out of the waterfall. It's wonderful. I love both the pictures very well. First one is very demonstrative of freezing motion, and especially you can't really judge the speed of the motion of the water. It's very difficult. But still, the photographers, experienced photographers, get it. First time you try to shoot a sunset, you will not get it. Second time, you will partially get it. Third time or fourth time, you will get it properly. Okay. So like this, waterfalls and moving objects also, you will get to learn as you keep shooting. You have to keep shooting. That's it. This one I used a 300 lens tele in GMR airport. I was at long distance, extreme distance, because they won't allow people onto the tarmac. Okay, the same one. This was also, you can see that, what I would like to tell you from this is that actually, because I'm using a higher shutter speed, and this picture was supposed to be going into the coffee table book of GMR airport, it's expected to be significantly enlarged. So if I use higher ISO, it has its own implications, which I'll get back once again. Okay. But I have to get very crisper image of it. Okay. So I had no option but to get the aperture open and take the shutter speed to a higher level to freeze the motion of a takeoff. Okay. During this process, what happened is that you see that the foreground, all the greenery has blurred, and the passenger terminal building at the background is also blurred. The hangars are blurred. Okay. So that's the correlation between aperture and shutter. Okay. And had I opted for f/22, I could not have got I could not have frozen the aircraft, but I would have got everything sharp. But this must have been a streak of something. Nobody knows what was going, because it's like something like 400 kilometers, 300 kilometers per hour when it is taking off. Same thing with this. Okay, you can observe the same thing. Foreground is blurred, background is blurred, every pole is blurred, and only the aircraft is sharp. Now, these are some shutter release modes. Some are very, very important in the sense, like, very useful. What you see, the single frame, a photograph is taken each time the shutter button is released. It releases only once. Continuous low speed shutter. Okay, it takes it a slow rate. One picture per second. You continuously keep it pressed, the shutter button, but it will take only one picture per second. You put CH, continuous high speed shutter, it will rapidly shoot. Like that is how they get actually, sometimes you get photographers, especially sports photographers, seeing that exactly the ball hitting the stumps and the bails are up. The photograph is done with such kind of high continuous speed shutter. He'll rattle the shutter, and out of the 10 frames that run in that 1 second, he will get one picture where exactly the bails are touched by the ball, and bails are flying. That's it. And next one is the quiet shutter release. Quiet shutter release is generally used when you don't want to disturb the subject. And the quiet continuous release. See, so for example, where these two things come into picture is that, supposing that if you are shooting a sleeping cat, the moment you have the shutter sound heard, fellow will run away, right? Or say a butterfly. The moment it hears that sound, it will move off. And then supposing that you are shooting on quite continuous shutter, then even if it's flying off, you will get some image out of it. The self timer, you all know it. You put it on a tripod and you come back and join the picture. Set the timer. Remote control is a wide remote control. Now you have got infrared remote controls also. And what is MUP? MUP is mirror up. I'll tell you some images where you have to expose it for quite longer time. Longer time in the sense 1 second is what was the least I have told you about. There is another thing, B or T. T is time. B is bulb. I don't know why they called it bulb. I don't know actually, but the terminology has been coming like that. Bulb means it will shutter will be open as long as you keep your finger on that shutter button. You keep it open half an hour. Also, it will keep open only. This is mostly used for sky and stars and things like that. Meteors grabbing and things like that. You can keep it for 1 hour. With a remote, you will keep it for 1 hour. But what happens is that the first one, when you press the shutter, the camera vibrates a bit. Why? Because the mirror hits the top. That's when there is an amount of pressure that is with which it is hitting the camera top, right? So that also creates a bit of a shake. To avoid that, what you do is that you select MUP. The moment you press the shutter, it will go up. First press, it will go up, lock up. Then you will not be able to see anything from the viewfinder or anything like that. Your total view is closed. And then next, you fire the shutter and keep your finger on top of that. Keep it as long as you want, but you have to keep the setting of the shutter in B or T, whichever is given in your camera. Okay. Now, I explained you this. The correct combination of shutter speed and aperture will give you the right image. Now, for convenience sake, earlier we discussed about aperture priority. You decide the aperture based on what? If it's a portrait, somebody standing in the background of some dust waste bin or something like that, GHMC is all full of that. Though the guy or girl is looking pretty, you can't shoot to get a decent picture because of that. At that time, what do? Because of the shallow depth of field you use A, and you use spot metering, and you put your aperture to 2 and let the shutter be decided by the camera. Okay. Done, and you are getting a clear picture where the GHMC is put into the bin actually. No, it's out of focus. Right. Now, and the other one is shutter speed, where you, depending on the speed you require, based on the situation, that you will decide on the shutter speed, and you will rest of the thing is taken care of by the camera. Now the third thing that you have is this program mode. P is what you see, program mode. Program mode is, once again, they have accumulated data. They have camera manufacturers have accumulated data, like what you see nowadays. How do you see an action replay for a decision making? Umpire says this, and the third umpire he goes. How? How is that prediction happening of the ball? It is that they have gathered so many balls being played on that pitch, bowled in that particular area, and deviating such a way, bouncing this condition, and things like that, the ball speed at which it was pitched, and things like that. This data has been compiled and created into an algorithm and is presented to you. Similarly, in the program mode, what has happened is that they have taken several data from aperture and shutter combinations from several photographers' images and made a program which is made into a curve. You put it to program mode, you select the ISO, it will select the aperture and shutter for you, both of them. But you don't have control of depth of field, you don't have control of speed, blurring or arresting the motion. Okay, but you will get reasonably good picture. You have to decide firstly metering, then ISO, and if flash is required or not. That's it. Okay. This program mode will give you good results. Okay. So that's it. Okay. Now, as I told you, it is a pre-written program which you can override. Sometimes you can override about it. Now, this aperture you remember now. That was the first thing I addressed after light meter. Okay, and then I came to shutter. there is one other thing called ISO. Actually, ISO means International Standards Organization. But how is it connected to light sensitivity of a sensor? I don't know, but they have. I can't say no to them. It started some decades ago, maybe probably in 1940s or 1930s or something like that, when the first camera was invented by Kodak. And okay, that means ISO is nothing but it's like a amplifier. It's like an amplifier. You give a small sound, you connect it to an amplifier, it will amplify the sound. Okay, it is like that. So it is going to increase the light sensitivity. The sensitivity of the chip or the light sensor is being increased by the ISO setting, thereby enabling a photographer to shoot even in dull light. Where there is absolutely no scope of getting a picture, you are getting a picture. But this is at a cost. When you are putting a small signal of small sound, when which is amplified, along with the sound, it will amplify the noise also. Yes, does the same thing. Your pictures are not going to be as crisp when you use low ISO, or the noise will be more prominent when you use higher ISO. Now, I will come down. I have explained you the implications of lower level of ISO to higher level of ISO. Lower level is crisper and higher level is noisy. Lower level can be used at hard light, that is maybe 9 o'clock till 4 o'clock. You can use 50 to 100 where the pictures are crisp and crisp, very crisp. Okay. But as the evening goes on, probably you'll have to shift to 800. And when you're sitting inside a room, I've seen that normally, typically in this room right now, I'm sitting at, there's only one tube light that I'm facing right now. One tube light. And on the right of it, to correct my light on this thing, I have got a white curtain out here. Okay. This is something like a studio kind of a behavior from my side. Okay. Now, when you're actually in a tube light, if with one tube in the room, probably you'll have to shoot at 4000 ISO. Okay, 4000 ISO would be reasonably good. And if you're going for sports and things like that, you might day and night matches. If you are shooting, you should be shooting at 3200 or 6400 or something like that. Okay. Now coming to the scale there. Be observant. Just want to take a minute or a second. Just take a second. Forget about what I told you earlier. Now, I am looking at the scale. 50 /100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, 3200, 6400, 12800, and this is the limit I have told you. I think practically what I could really see a reasonable amount of picture quality was at 6400 with a very, very well done camera, like something like 5D Mark II, Mark III. Okay. There is no grain or no noise or anything like that. But the moment you cross your limits, it's going to deteriorate. Picture quality is going to deteriorate. And one other thing you have to observe is that exactly like the aperture scale or the like 2 to 2.8, 2.8 to 4, 4 to 5.6, and similarly this scale of 1 by 125th of a second, 1 by 250th of a second, 1 by 500th of a second, 1 by 1000th of a second in shutter speed. This is also either light quantity required is decreased by half, or increased by half. Supposing that I have got, I'm right now set my camera at a 400 ISO. X amount of light is required to create. I shift to 200 ISO. That means I need into twice the X, 2 into X. If I shift to 100, it requires, in comparison to 400 setting, it requires 4 times the light. 50 is going to require 8 times the light. But whereas if I'm shifting from 400 to 800, I need only half the amount of light that is required for 400. Or if I'm shifting from 400 to 1600, that means to say that I need only 1/4 of the light that is required for 400. You got it? All the things are very similar in terms of gradation or the steps, number of quantity by means of which the light is allowed or controlled. Of course, there are in the cameras, there are in between values, half values are there, 1/3 values are there. You can go for them. That's not going to make a major difference. Half of it between 50 and 100. Supposing that 50 ISO and 100 ISO, 75 ISO is not going to make a great deal of difference. That is between 200 and 400, 300 ISO is not going to make a. It's going to make a difference, but not a great deal. But one shift is going to make a beautiful difference. Your picture has gone for a toss, almost. Now, the noise I was talking about, if you are looking at a small, what do you call, mobile phone or something like that, you will not be able to notice the grain structure in this. Anybody who is watching on a larger screen, at least 15 inches a desktop or a laptop, you can see that the image at 100 ISO at the extreme left is more crisper than the one at the right, which is 3200 ISO, is somewhat smudgy kind of, that is noise. Okay? So, but all said and done, at 3200 ISO, if you don't have a choice at all, you have an image at all. That's what is the best part of ISO. I don't have anything. There's no light possible. I don't want to throw my artificial light, like a flash gun light or something like that, because it will spoil the mood of it. Or the area is too large. I'm shooting a landscape. I'm in a forest or something like that. You can't help it, man. You see someone drinking a bit of water from a lake late in the evening at 7 o'clock or 6:30 or something like that, where the sun is just setting down and there's whatever light is available is only the light from the skylight. Then you will have to shift yourself to 3200 ISO and you have the picture at all. Feel good about it. But as a caution, I am telling you, that's why good landscape photographers and good photographers always opt for the correct light. They go there before, check it out, what is the correct time of lighting, then they come back and they shoot. Okay. Now, the manual mode. You select everything by yourself. You select the aperture, you select the behavior of the light meter. Then you select the aperture required, whether you want to blur the background and keep everything sharp. Then you select the ISO based on the situation of light. If it is bright light, then you will opt for 100. If it is a little bit low light, like something like late afternoon, 5 o'clock, 5:30 or something like that, or early mornings like this kind of season where it is winter, if you go on to Tank Bund, the light is very, very low because of fog and things like that. Okay, then you go for something like 800 ISO or something like that. Then accordingly, the shutter speed also, when you move it, keep moving the shutter dial, you will see that the needle will come back the center of it, as I told you about it. Anna? Yeah, you will get it here. But you will also have to, along with metering, which type of metering? The aperture, the ISO, and to get this right, you will put it into the center. You will manage based on your priority the aperture or the shutter, and then get the right image. Okay. Let me go back. Hope I'm not boring you guys. If it's boring, you can tell your coordinator out there. Professor Sarkar can always tell me about it, give me a feedback that I'm boring.
Sir, no, sir, not at all. In fact, you are giving a good, exhaustive, short-term course in photography, which is very, very useful for all of us. Thank you, sir. Please
Thank
go
you
ahead.
so much. Thank you so much, Professor. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now we are coming to a manual mode that I have explained you, that where you have you are going to set everything properly. All is your choice. Okay. As I told you, whatever I spoke, you are seeing it on the slide. That's all. Nothing more than that. By setting all those things, if you get the center to 0, still you then you get a wrong one, wrong image. If you are getting a brighter image or a darker image, either your meter selection is wrong or meter is being fooled. But why would a meter be fooled? There is a reason why it is going to be fooled. And that's where the photographer individually comes into the picture. That's where is your brain. The software, I mean. The software is in the head. The camera is only a tool. It's like a screwdriver or a cutting player. You only pick up a cutting player or a nose player when you require what? You know when to require a star screwdriver and when a normal screwdriver, when a normal cutting player or a nose player or a circle player. Okay? Camera is like that. But once that this particular system called metering gets fooled, you will obviously get a wrong picture. Okay? So, why a camera meter gets fooled is the thing what we are going to discuss now. See, on what basis can anybody fix a camera meter to judge everything rightly? Right now, when you are sitting out here, when you are looking at the monitor, look at the monitor, the brightness level. Just shift your eye. I have got a cupboard out here, which is almost dark gray and black, whose brightness is very less. Upon that, I have got absolute steel handles, which are beautifully bright. And then I turn even to the left, that's a tube light. It is illuminating the entire room. So think of it. What will the meter judge? If a scene has got so much of variation. Okay. Another aspect, this is one aspect of it. That means to say that the light is not evenly distributed or evenly thrown back. What is color? Color is nothing but white light is thrown onto any subject. Something looks green because it absorbs all other colors and only reflects green. That is what is color. A white sheet is white sheet because it throws everything back. A silver sheet or a mirror, it's going to throw back everything. Okay. Red is something, the object absorbs every other color except for red and throws back red. But green is not so bright as red. Blue is even darker than red. If you convert it to grayscales, you will understand. Okay. That is where the meter will get fooled. Say, for example, I'll give you one more example. When a meter gets fooled, I am sitting here. You wanted me to pose along with my work desk. Hope you can see my face with illuminated because I have got a light on top of my monitor. Now, if you include that light into the picture, if you include that bright light into the picture, the meter is going to be fooled. Supposing that at my back, you have a large area, it's absolutely black. I'll give you some typical examples like, many of you guys must have seen that you must have taken pictures on tank bund in the night. Okay. So what would you get normally? Generally, what would you get is that you will always get a picture where the person is absolutely white and white. Skin tone is not correct because rest of the area is all dark. How is the meter going to make out correctly? No. The meter, please understand this theory that the meter is made to behave in a particular fashion with a fixed calibration. Okay. And this is like, I'll tell you, example, you take a bucket, pick up some black paint, pick up some white paint, put 180 ml of black paint into one can and put 820 ml of white into the same can. That's 180 ml of black and 820 ml of white paint. Now this becomes 18% black and 82% white, right? You mix this totally and paint it on a white sheet. This is what is called a gray card or gray chart. Gray card. The meter is calibrated in such a way that it believes everything to be at 18% gray. So even if you have a small bulb near my ear, you are going to get a wrong picture. Suppose you are shooting a white cat in a cold dungeon, you are going to get a wrong shot. Okay. Meter misbehaves because of these reasons: extreme blackness or extreme brightness in the background, other than what you are interested in. Okay. Now, but there is a way to tackle that. There's something called exposure compensation. On your camera dials, you will see, if you want, I'll go back on top of that. No, I'll show you where. I'm only worried about time, whether I will be able to fit in myself properly into the time or not. Okay. Yeah, okay. One sec. This is that some, yeah. If you carefully look at it, you see the 8,000th of 8,000. That is indicating your shutter value. That means your shutter is operating at 1/8,000th of a second. Okay, and 5.6 is the aperture. That is what it is showing you. This has become useful actually. It's good that I have shifted to this slide. I'm actually showing you what's happening on the camera. And below that, you are seeing 6,400 if you are seeing it carefully. Okay, otherwise, just pinch your screens to see a bigger level. Okay, that 6,400 is the ISO I was talking about. 5.6, 6,400 ISO and 1 by 8,000th of a second. That means the guy was shooting something absolutely fast and in low light. Okay. He doesn't mind shallow depth of field. In fact, he might need shallow depth of field. Okay. Now coming to the point where you have that if you enlarge it, you see that ISO, and next to ISO to the right, you have a flash mark and plus minus. This is what is called exposure compensation. You press that button and there is on the back of the camera, you have one more dial like the one you see on the top of here next to the shutter button. Okay, there's a light button there, like there's something like a bulb it is showing. Upon beyond that, there is a dial there that is also going to shift, but that's going to shift the aperture. But the bottom one is going to shift your shutter speed scale or exposure compensation scale. Okay, you put the exposure, you can shift the exposure compensation. Let me come back. Yeah. Okay, this is exposure compensation scale. Supposing that the meter got fooled and you think you are getting a darker image. All that you need to do is that go to the exposure compensation scale, which I have shown you on top of the camera. Not all cameras have it in the same place. Some cameras have it in the, you can press the info button at the back and it will show you all the things. And then they are touch screens now. Okay, select the exposure click the exposure compensation button, press it, and then rotate the dial that is next to it. Then you can shift to 1. 1 means what? 2 means what? That means if you were shooting at 5.6, it will shoot, if you shift to 1, it will shift to 4 automatically by itself. Because at 5.6, the camera was giving you a darker image. By means of shifting it to f4, it is going to lighter the image by 1 stop. This every shift is 1 stop actually. Okay. Then supposing that still then the picture is dark, then what you do is that you shift to +2. Then you will get even brighter image. Okay. Let's talk the reverse way. You are getting a very bright image. You have to cut down the light. Then you select -1 or -2. So if your picture is dark and you want to make it light, you want to add light. So you will shift on to the plus side. If your picture is very light or light, you shift on to the left side or the minus side to decrease the exposure. Okay? You decrease the exposure, you increase the exposure. That's the thing. Okay. Now, this is the practical example of it. Now, the middle picture, what you see is the correctly exposed picture where there is texture, and see the t-shirt color. The t-shirt color, the highlights on the footwear, okay, and the detailing thereafter on the. But the next +1 picture is that you are losing some amount of detail in the both in the face or in the whatever is there for the legs, okay, and you +2, you totally washed out, in terms of the face and the footwear area, right? On the other scale, you see -1 to -2, you see the image is getting darker and darker. Of course, many of you might feel that, oh, let me look at it in Photoshop. Why not? Now, if Photoshop is there, why the hell are you here with a camera? Don't hang a camera, man. Right? That's not the thing. You have to get it right the first time. Okay. Photoshop is always a rescue act. It's an ICU, actually. Okay. Now, this after, I think, now I will give a small recap. We have seen metering, how it behaves, how you influence it to behave by means of choice of evaluative metering or average metering or partial metering or spot metering, as well as exposure compensation. You are going to, all these things are going to influence the meter, one. Now, second thing you have seen is that you have seen the aperture, how it doubles the light or reduces the half the light. Okay, and the same thing with the shutter scale also. Either it doubles or halves. Okay, same thing with ISO also. Either it doubles or halves it. But as you increase ISO, you have got noise. Right. I think I have given a small recap of all the things right now. Okay. Yeah. Now, there are other things also which we have to look at. What time is it now? 3 o'clock. My God, I'm getting close. Got to be faster. Oh, yeah. White balance. Gentlemen, white balance is what? No, not what all you see white is white. Because the greatness of God is that He has given you an autofocus, auto color temperature, and totally digital, auto white balance and totally digital camera in your eye. Not all white is white. When you come to light sources, tungsten light, the Thomas Alva Edison light, gives you orangish feel. A candle is going to give you a different feel. Normal tube light, there are two ways, two warm and cold. Two tube lights are there. One will give you a slightly greenish tinge. The other one will give you some other tinge. LED lights are several colors. Mercury vapor lamps, sodium vapor lamps, and you go to a discotheque, then you have got even more confusing lights out there. Okay. Now, this is what is called degrees Kelvin. Don't confuse it to centigrade scale or Fahrenheit scale. It's called degrees Kelvin. Okay, candle light is expected to be around, you will find this in mobile cameras also. You can choose it by yourself. Please remember this. You can choose it in your SLR cameras, you can choose it in all the majority of the settings except for aperture and shutter. All the settings are relevant to mobile cameras also. Okay, and this scale I have seen in one camera, I think. Yeah. Now let's get back to the Kelvin scale. No, 1,500 is 200. 2,000 is something around candle, and 3,000 to 3,500 is tungsten, and say 4,000 to 4,500 is early morning sunlight or late evening sunset, I would say. Fluorescent lights fall around 5,000 to as I told you, there are two varieties, warm and cool. Okay, so that's why 5,000 to this. Okay, summer sunlight is generally assumed to be 5,500, but the daylight actually, this. Remember this: the light what you are going to the light what you are going to get at Hyderabad at 12 o'clock. Say, for example, you go to New Delhi, let two people take the same camera with the same settings at New Delhi and Hyderabad, just at the same time, shoot a color chart. The colors are going to be different. Reason? Any place, its color temperature of the light that is reaching the particular place from the sun its color temperature varies from the distance of the equator. This is what you need to get. Why do people go to Switzerland and shoot films? Why do people go to Europe and shoot? You get a better skin tone out there. Okay, there are so many other reasons, of course. This is one of the reasons. The color temperature there is perfect for skin tone. Okay. And then if you see the scale, once again, coming back to the scale, overcast sky is going to give you a bluish feel, and absolute blue is the very late evening. Okay. Hope I'm clear about it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to converse with you directly. Okay, now this I wanted to show you because these are the symbols which are going to be shown on your camera, what you call your camera menu or your SLR camera menu. Okay, in that case, you should be knowing what it is all about. All right. AWB means auto white balance. Whatever may be the light color of the light, you will get almost white as white. I don't say exactly white. Okay, but that's closest to what you can get. But if you can use your own mind, then you can set it to yourself. Now, Hyderabad, I feel the color temperature by means of my experience has been 5,700 to 5,800 degrees Kelvin, not 5,500 degrees daylight. Okay. I have, over a period of learning, I have understood this. That too in good season, like, something like summer or not the winter, of course. Okay. And we are running short of time. Okay. I have too much to cover. Now, AWB is auto white balance. Daylight is daylight, which can be used between 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock. Otherwise, you'll have to compensate with your own settings out there. Cloudy gives, when you are shooting some image in cloudy sky, it adds some blue into it. Okay, that's when you have to select that cloudy. You see that icon out there. You select that icon, it adds a warm tone, a bit of yellow mixed with orange into it, so that it neutralizes the blue that is coming from the sky. Okay. Similarly, one of your friends is asking for a picture of he or she with their Mercedes Benz in the portico. Okay, there is no bright light out there. It's only skylight that is falling and that they are into. In which case the blue is going to be severely more because they are in a darker area. That's blacks are going to attract blue more. Actually, that they being in shade, the blue tone will be even more in the skin tone. So what you have to do is that you have to select the icon. Okay, that shade icon and shoot. Okay, the tungsten light gives orangish one. That is the Thomas Alva Edison's regular bulb. That is 3,200 degrees Kelvin. And the fluorescent is, it adds kind of a magenta tint into your picture. And if you select that fluorescent, it is, see the icon and remember that. There are some cameras show fluorescent 1 and fluorescent 2 also. That is because of the way I told you, the warm and the other one. Okay. So fluorescent 1 and fluorescent 2 also are available. Flash is little cooler than daylight. So while using flash, you can use the same flash icon to correct it to daylight. Now, custom white balance is something that you select whatever color you want to influence the image. Okay? This is what it is. Hope I'm clear about this. Auto white balance is totally controlled by the camera. Daylight is what you select for sunlight between 9 and 3 in the evening, afternoon. Cloudy is what you select for when you are shooting in a cloudy sky. Shade is what you select when you are shooting some people in shade. If it's a white car, then it's going to be bluish otherwise. Okay. And tungsten light is something, is going to give a reddish or a deep orange effect, where if you select that icon, you will get white, as white. A fluorescent is for tube lights, flash is for flash, custom white balance is whatever you please to get. Okay. Now, this is a typical example of selecting your white balance. This is a tungsten scene actually. This total scene is illuminated by a tungsten light. Extreme left picture is what you get if you are using auto white balance. If you are using daylight, that's what you get. When you get, that's the true, actual, what you call, mood of the area at that point of time with that particular light. That exact mood of it. Okay? But you don't like it. You want white as white. Then go to tungsten and select tungsten. It will cut off all those orange elements into it. You can notice the handles of the knife everywhere and the knife blade. That in the extreme right one where you have selected tungsten, it's absolutely steel. And the white dots on the handle are white. Okay? And see the cap of the bottle, which is behind the bottle, that's white. But whereas in the center picture, it's orange. It's in the auto white balance, it is somewhat deviated towards orange. Okay. So like that, you have to use that color temperature accordingly as per your requirement. No, these are focusing methods, servo autofocus, camera automatically auto servo. Auto servo is that when you select that servo autofocus, you only get when it focuses, and when the person moves, it won't, unless it is focused, it won't take a camera. The camera shutter cannot be released unless it is focused. Okay. Single servo AF, stationary subjects, focus locks when the shutter release button is halfway pressed. Shutter can only be released. One second. Who's the stupid guy? 1 second. Yeah, okay. Stationary single servo AF is for stationary subjects. Focus locks when the shutter release button is halfway pressed. And shutter can only be released if the camera is able to focus. Continuous servo autofocus. Manual focus, I don't have to describe you. You have to focus it yourself. It's your job. Okay. Continuous servo autofocus. This is a very interesting feature actually. It tracks. It tracks. Once you halfway keep the button pressed, you have a zoom lens or something like that, you first fix your focus point, keep it on servo autofocus first, continuous servo autofocus, and you pick up the focusing point, and then once you see a car or something like that, or a bird flying, lock it by half pressing it. The focus is locked. Keep moving your camera along with the subject. The focus is locked. Even if it's approaching you or going away from you, the focus is locked. Okay, why I said a zoom camera, zoom lens? Because you can compose yourself properly. I'll show you some series of images of the focus tracking. I'll show you very fast so that you get a good idea about it. This was done with the Sony Alpha 99. It's got brilliant tracking actually. Sony Alpha 99 is very good at tracking. Now now recent cameras and Canon also have fantastic tracking. Again, see, my frame is changing continuously, but the focus is not lost. And that's it. I have frozen it, and every frame has been. That means I have picked up shutter priority and continuous servo autofocus. That's it. I have tracked the subject continuously. Okay. Now this is about focus tracking. Next comes is the image stabilizers. Image stabilizers are nothing but Sometimes it so happens that when we are holding a camera, it shakes. If I want to shoot like this, sometimes my hand will shake. Especially with it's more with smokers and alcoholics. Okay, so if you want to be a good photographer, don't smoke and don't consume alcohol. At least be in your limits. Okay. All right, that's a different subject altogether. Now, stabilizers are being used to, this is predictive motion. The motion of the hand is being predicted and it's compensated for. That's initially it started, the initial image stabilizer was produced only for vertical motion. Then later on, they extended it to two-way, sideways also. But some people are moving it this way also. So finally, the stage what we have come to is that 5-axis image stabilizer. Whichever stupid way you move it, it is going to stabilize it. Your pictures are going to be stable. That is why you see whatever is being shot from the shoulders of these sports photographers is a steady. Otherwise, they used to have something called a gyroscope or a steady cam or something like that. Okay. Hope you got the stabilizer. Remember one thing, whenever you switch on an image stabilizer, it consumes a lot of battery, it's going to drain fast. The image stabilizer button is somewhere you see the knob at the bottom, and then next to it there is one switch kind of a thing. That's where the stabilizer is. Normally, stabilizers are used in extreme high focal length lenses. I think this is a 500 mm tele, 150, 500 tele. That means extreme, it's a sports lens or wildlife lens. Okay. Now, camera holding techniques. I'll show you some camera holding techniques. Generally, when people are using camera, wherever they are, they can't hold it like this. Okay. Never let your finger cover the flash. Second thing is that when you don't have a tripod, these things come into picture. You can spread your legs like this. Okay? Like a V, inverted. And chuck your arms close to your chest. Hold the camera and press it against your forehead strongly. And before you click, take a deep breath. When you are clicking, hold the breath and click. This is my image stabilizer. I'm sure you can hold, you can take a shot at 1/4 of a second without a stabilizer lens, image stabilizer lens, handheld shot without a shake. Okay. Tripod has got 3. You have got 2 legs, right? Why not use the 2? That's it. Okay. Then next comes, this is a tripod typically, but I was talking about these 2 legs in front, which are my own legs or your legs. Okay. Then comes the uses of a tripod actually. This was done for Jemar Airport, where I had to use something like a 30-second exposure or something like that, where I didn't want the bus to be clear, because normally all these buses will have some kind of dents and things like that, which cannot be retouched in photography, in Photoshop and things like that. It's a bit difficult. I just wanted to give an impression that, yeah, Airport Express is coming down, that's it. And I want identification of the airport. I want the background also to be clear. I want the sky also to be blue. So I kept a higher aperture, lower shutter speed, so that the bus can be distinguished, but not really. I use the blur to create an arrow into the frame. Okay. The monopod, you use a monopod along with your 2 legs to make it a tripod. Okay. Monopods are very useful in sports photography because you can pan very fast. Okay. and especially you are shooting with extremely long teles. Now coming to cell phone camera menus, the mode is going to tell you whether you're going to shoot auto or you are going manual. Okay, settings will have many settings. If you go to extreme left top, this thing is the front camera to back camera, that you all of you know it. Then the next one to that front camera to this camera is that picture size. How many, whether you want 16:9 or 4:3 or square or what. Now then you see the next one, what you see is the burst shots. Burst shots on. That means say that cut, because it's going to shoot a series of images rapidly. Picture stabilization, that was image stabilization, which we were talking about earlier. And the face detection. Face detection is once again an AI feature where it detects a face, the focus will be on that. Okay. Now, whether you coming to the next second row from the top, extreme left, you have one white this thing. When you select that, and when you see some object and you press the screen on the phone, it will select that focus and ignore the other. Okay, this is preferential focusing. Okay, and ISO setting, as I told you, I have explained you the ISO setting. ISO setting you can select by yourself. If you put it to auto, it will go to auto. Or if you can want to select your own setting, you can go for your own setting. Metering settings, it is showing right now, it is showing a default mode of center weighted average. You can go for a spot also, or whatever options you have, you can explore. The problem with mobile phone cameras is that every phone camera has got different modes. It's very difficult to learn. It's so complicated. You junk your camera right now and buy a different one. You are so confused with your menu part of it. No? Anyway, okay. So you will have to explore into whatever the metering modes is offering. Generally, you must be offering the same thing what I described you earlier, and then tap to take pictures on. Okay. That is and the selective focus is what I said. Selective focus on or off. I have explained you earlier on the left, and I don't know what is audio zoom. So far I have not experienced. Video stabilization. Next one from bottom, second horizontal one from bottom is video stabilization. That is meagerly seen. It's not very bright. Video stabilization is when you are video recording. Video mode is what? Video mode, you have to select 16 into 1920 or 1080 or 720 by 540 or NTSC or PAL. NTSC is American system. PAL is Indian system, Indian and UK system. American system does not work with us and our system does not work with them. The difference is that it's not that it does not work, it works, but the screen is going to give you some lines and things like that. Okay. Some video players don't play it at all. Okay. And video size is what? That is, this is a 4K video camera. I think is a Galaxy 20 or something like that. Effects, when you come to effects, these are effects are where you vary the skin tone of a person or blur the background and things like that. There are so many effects in that. But the magical, like night shots, blah, too many things. I think, see, that is purely to attract someone who's not savvy with photography or who's not willing to learn photography. All these effects will work. Or automation is not required for someone who's willing to work, spend a little time at least in his washroom when he's in the morning. He can go through some of the menus of or read something on the net. He can learn adequately well. Then the next one, in the last line, what we are seeing is that the flash on off. Whether you want the flash on or off, and then the timer, which I said about like uh, when you're shooting your own picture along with the, there are, please remember, there are some small things available, holders. I actually forgot to get it in my, put it in my bag. You know, I found it recently on the Amazon, where I can clip my phone to it. Okay, and start the video, come back and sit along with my wife and shoot my own video. It's very good gadget. And another thing I observed is that when I'm shooting video, I can use the front camera and see from the back and shoot anything like a panorama or something like that very easily. Like, you know, this camera won't shake or anything like that. That's a very good thing. You check out on Amazon. Okay, or the next time when we are meeting, I will definitely show that to you. HDR is high dynamic range. This is a very confusing one for many people. What is HDR? HDR is high dynamic range. High dynamic range means what? High dynamic range is merely that, you know, when you have a very dark area and a very light area. Earlier, I was giving you a Mercedes Benz and with your friend, and you are shooting that picture. When he has a Mercedes Benz, he must be having a glorious house too. Why will he let you shoot without the house? At least a part of the house he wants in the picture, right? So, but in the portico there is no light, but on the building there is light, right? When you use HDR, it's going to lighten some of the darker, mid gray areas to slightly brighter areas, okay, brighter tones, whereby there is some information available which can be seen. Now that is what is HDR, high dynamic range. That means it is going to increase the latitude of the light capturing capacity of the image sensor. Okay. Hope I am done with the menu of cell phone cameras. Okay. I don't have time. I think I have overrun on time. I just have 25 minutes to present you some more.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to show them some what you call some important things with respect to composition. Can I go ahead?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Hello, participants. Once again, I'm back. Now, this is a basic guide to composing landscapes or anything for that matter when you are shooting. Even PC Sriram, who's one of the best, very good cinematographers, or Maniratnam, any one of the leading photographers or leading cinematographers will never neglect this particular thing. Whatever you are seeing is called rule of thirds. What you need to do is that you split your frame vertically into 3 equal spaces and horizontally into 3 equal spaces. The intersecting point is called the power points. They are called power points. You know, any subject that is put across that particular place is of utmost different. It is going to attract the attention of the eye. Okay. So try to place, when you are composing a picture, most important point is that even if it is just sand and one tree, if you put it in one of these areas, it's going to be a decent enough shot, very acceptable shot. Okay. Another thing along with this, before I don't want to, I have very short time, I feel. So I'll go into one more thing. There's something called eye dynamics. Anything that is entering from the top right corner to the bottom left corner, or anything that is entering from the bottom left corner and going out through top right corner, and similarly on the left also, left top corner to bottom right corner to left top corner. These are eye dynamics. Anything that you compose, supposing there is a road that is traveling from left to onto the top, left. Okay, bottom right to top left. Well, I think you could get that. Now I'll show you in pictures. Now you are seeing a. Now you are able to see what you are able to see is that you're definitely seeing a sunset, but you're also seeing so many other elements. But when I shift, your eye immediately goes on to this. Hope you agree with me on this. Your eye immediately goes on to the sunset. Okay, this is called a rule of thirds. And this is one other shot by my friend Saurabh Chatterjee. One more. This is with the eye dynamics. I use that stick to make you go through the entire frame. The same stick, I broadened the frame, but I was using the stick from bottom right to top left. Okay? And see this picture. It was composed in the center. What is wrong with this? Actually, if you look at it, there is nothing wrong in that picture, right? But I'll just change how Saurabh changed his picture. These pictures were created purely to demonstration for your kind of participants and students who are trying to learn. Okay. Now see this. This is a glorious shot. If you don't agree with me, I'm sorry. This is a cityscape as well as it is Buddha's portrait. And it is showing where Buddha is. Had he been a human being, it would have shown what is his surrounding. Right? So this is what is composition. Like another thing, why Saurabh wanted that fountain on the left. It is distracting your concentration. If I cut off that, try to put a hand on that part of it and see, you will see the picture to be better. Just see it once. Am I right? Now here, the Birla temple is put in the correct position of rule of thirds. Okay? And see the white again is white color that's in absolute darkness. The metering was so difficult. And how this gentleman managed it on a tripod. Now see this image. This is where I would like to tell you that how color temperature can or composition can vary things. No, it was winter, something like this season only. He went there because we wanted that shot, yeah. And he shot this and then decided that he will change it like this. What did he do? What was the trick? The trick was that, one is that he changed the position of the Buddha. Second thing is that he put the color temperature from this. This was the natural color temperature, he was getting in auto white balance. Okay. Then what he did is that he went and shifted his color balance because this is looking very bland. This is looking very bland. So he shifted it to tungsten. When tungsten happens, what? Tungsten actually produces orange light. That's why what he did is that he selected tungsten, which will add blue. So the whole thing has changed from what to what. Okay. These are some compositions where even in advertising work, we can't escape compositions. Okay. You can't escape compositions anywhere. No, all of them are in rule of thirds. No, this was Ramoji Film City done with a lot of dedication. This was for NIIT, which I have done. Yeah. Now this is once again our airport ramp. If, some of you, if they can't, and if you see the bottom part of it, there are some red lines along with white patches. Those were actually very dark when I shot the first picture. But then I switched on the HDR, then they became lighter. Please remember this. I'm trying to give you what is eye dynamics, one, fundamentally. Secondly, how HDR helped me out in terms of getting some detail out of it. See this. My composition, it's starting from center. I am taking you to the end of it. Okay? Right, I'm driving you. What is there in this actually? When I thought about it, they said, what is there in that? Why do you want to shoot that? Then I said, okay, I like the curve of the road. That's where eye dynamics works, makes it interesting. This is a simple people shot, but just by tilting the camera and getting those lights, using it as for graphic, I could get some interest into it. And you can see the line of the windows on the right from one corner to the other. making it an interesting composition. This is something, one of my favorite pictures which I have composed for myself. The light was created with, the light was intercepted by a few combs, hair combs, big ones. That's how I got that effect of streaks of light. Okay. And these are some candidates of children. Okay, in daylight. Actually, this is one of your seniors, actually 3 years senior to you. She's right now in the United States. Okay. She happens to be my niece. Okay, this is one of the candid shot. What I like with this picture is that the timing of my shot, actually. Okay. Okay, now there are two kinds of files where we call them RAW and JPEG. JPEG is like MP3 files where supposing you take a disk of 750 MB, in a normal FLAC file or IF file, you get only 7 songs. But why in 750 MB you get so many songs, 100 songs? Because they are compressed. That law of energy can neither be created nor destroyed is the same thing. You know, you cannot, when you compress, you will lose value. Okay, when you filter, what happens? You don't get anything, JPEG, it adds on to the nearest pixel of the similar color, but not the full range. So RAW is something, RAW, it gives full range of colors, which you handle. Nowadays, you are getting RAW in your cell phone cameras also. Please know that. The best format is RAW, then convert it to your required format like TIFF or something like that. Now, a very short period, I will take you through one of my friends, couple of my friends whose work is phenomenally good, and it should inspire you. This guy is Astro Mohan. He's called Astro Mohan because he was interested in astrology very much before. He has got several international accreditations, and he's a Canon mentor, Canon senior mentor for the entire nation. He's couple of 3 or 4 Canon mentors. He teaches across the country, and he's a journalist, photographer, senior news photographer of Kannada daily newspaper Udayvani. Okay, now instead of talking about him, let us see his work. You can always see his work on astromohan.com or see him on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, and how people imagine things is incredible. Every person is different. Every person's eye is different. This, I don't know what this is also. I could not define. I wanted to ask him, but okay. This is something that is made out of what you call toddy leaves or something like that. It's a handicraft work. Somebody is holding with a hand, and Astro was so good that he eliminated the light falling to the background. I can see some creases of the lungi or something like that, whatever is undergarment, lower garment rather. I'm sorry, lower garment I can see. And this is the detail of it, how well it was carved, the leaf was cut. And here also, he is also not being so senior photographer, he has not violated the rule of thirds. Okay. Now this also, once again, great light, some beautiful textural lighting from side. Okay. And this is a very good one. Yeah, this is good eye dynamics, actually traveling right from bottom to straight up. Okay. And then this. Very good texture lighting he has discovered about. This is natural light, of course, not created one. And this also is a lovely portrait of a Brahmin guy, gentleman, having his puja and things like that in the morning. And this is what I was talking about, eye dynamics, going on to the top, starting from the center. Oh, shimmering light, man, come on. What was the metering? I don't know. Okay. Oh, this is wonderful. This here also he has not violated that rule of thirds. Now, this is, I think the metering that was done is, because he was shooting in ambient light, he metered only for her left cheek. That's why you see the highlight on the right cheek. Okay. And that's why you see the highlight on the leg garment. And the other part is into the correct tone, right? Okay, and oh, this is a gorgeous one, gorgeous one. You see, when you create a landscape, you need to have levels of layers. So many layers he has created. One is the water foreground, then the boat, then the uh, uh, whatever is the trees you have, and then the sky. This is brilliant light, actually. This is what I said. Eye dynamics, entering from the bottom right to ending at the top left. This, I don't know how to describe this, actually. It's a brilliant shot. Okay, and this one also. He calls it reflection. I don't know why he called it reflection. Okay, now this is Saurabh Chatterjee, another wonderful photographer. I've got 10 minutes, 11 minutes left. Hope.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay, madam? Are people able to like it?
Yes, sir. We are enjoying it, but we have to, like, only a few minutes are left.
Yeah, only a few minutes are left.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
We have to.
Yeah.
I think Q&A, we have to, like, what we can do, we can take the questions and then we can forward it to you.
Yeah, we will do that. We will do
Yes.
that, madam.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay.
I'll go with this, madam.
Okay.
This is Saurabh Chatterjee. He operates a photography school called SIA. SIA means shutter, ISO, and aperture. That's SIA. SIA photography. He's a very keen. Actually, he was a software guy. He, out of passion, he quit that and got into. He became an educator of photography, going around the world and going to places and shooting across. And he believes in educating people more about it. This is a wonderful shot where eye dynamics, once again, I tell, from the top to the center, it is coming down. The beautiful shot of a temple in somewhere in China, around in Tamil Nadu. Okay, and this is another one beautiful, getting you to the absolute bang on center and the absolute right. Now here, one thing one needs to observe is that you have the guy, but you don't notice the bull, but you are only noticing the guy. Why? It's correctly composed. Okay. And the beautiful sky. Right. This is a very well, greatly planned picture. Which place he has to shoot from and what time he has to shoot at. To get that blue sky and the streaks of light and the color and things like what time they switch on the lights of the stores and things like that. And taking permissions to go up onto that. This is extremely good metering. I don't know how we metered it, actually. With some light around some places, some in dark. Because of the shadows, it keeps changing, actually, in these kind of scenarios. Okay. And then I have this. This is a absolutely amazing shot. I think he must have gone one day before and checked it out that this is the time when that kind of showering of texture being exposed and the wrinkles being exposed. The grand lady is, old lady is looking very grand, actually. In fact, beautiful character explanation. Okay, there is also one more eye dynamics, actually. Now I have Sushant Nakana. How much time I have? I have got 8 minutes to go, and I'll finish off. Okay. He's a wildlifer. Actually, he was into advertising earlier. Think of this. This is a panorama. See the chinkaras jumping, high-speed shutter shots. Okay. This one, once again, the chinkara jumping. I love it. This is like, the fellow is conscious of the guy who's shooting, but still drinking. Okay, and this is once again a shutter priority. Very well placed. Bird photography is also very difficult. Okay. Now, I don't know how these people manage. Wildlife photography is something I can discuss with you for an hour or so. This is actually, I think he tamed the guy. He must have given her loads of beef a couple of days before. Otherwise, he would not oppose that. This is now very difficult to get. Okay. Oh, this is a portrait, a tamed kind of stuff. Okay. Okay. There is another one. Once again, he did not forget the rule of thirds in this.
It's not changing. Sir, image is not changing.
Bird feeding. Okay. Uh, this is a night shot. Okay.
Sir.
I think we have come to tracked it, Neval. No, you need a very keen eye to look at these kind of subjects. No, now I think I'm. I don't know whether the last part of it was hurried or not. Uh, as Professor Sarkar said, that the question and answer session would be done
Yes, sir.
later on, where
Yes, sir.
the college should collect all the queries.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants, thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Sarkar, Professor Sarkar, and Professor Wamshi for coordinating with me and giving me this opportunity, please.
Yes.
I hope all the guys enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. We
Thank,
have enjoyed a lot, and thank you, sir. Like it's a very small word, sir, to show our gratitude to you. You have wholeheartedly accepted our invitation at the first place, then selflessly shared all your experience and knowledge through your session. Now, at the end of the session, we can say that now we finished a photography course for which is for professionals, and which is a big thing for our students, especially. And they are so lucky, sir, that they experience such an exhaustive session by an eminent photographer like you. And so, thank you so much, sir. And the valuable fundas or the tips which you shared with us, and the technical aspect, like how exhaustive it was, it is going to be helpful. I'm going to watch the YouTube thing again and try to apply that to my photography skills. I'm sure even the students and faculty will do the same. So, and also, I would like to highlight lines from your talk where you said that from this talk, in fact, that if you are interested, you can take a picture of any matter. It totally depends on the imagination. Uh,
yes.
Seriously, yeah. And now onwards, sir, like whenever like we'll see a photograph, a beautiful photograph, we'll recollect the efforts and the levels of imagination of the photographer. Like every time we'll see a photograph, especially after your session, we'll definitely appreciate the photograph, like beneath also looking into deep into that photograph, and we'll try to understand how much of effort has been put into to get such kind of photograph. Like it is a beautiful art, and thank you, sir, for sharing your experience, your time, your knowledge, everything. And we know how you were onto it. We all know, like, and how much effort you have put, and you agreed to join us for this induction program. Really, we are grateful to you, sir, and we look forward to have you again.
I'm there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you. Okay. Students, I have an announcement to make. Tomorrow is the last day of induction, for the first part of induction. And tomorrow we'll have valedictory sessions. That will be like department wise, it has been scheduled. So you will be shared the link by your respective departments, and you need to log in as usual. Okay. Timings and other things will be shared with you. Okay. Thank you.